decided to go for the Moon Across the Zodiac series. And you are watching me. I am the nude astrologer. Here with the concept that sometimes serving content can simply done at the comfort of our own skin. Um, If you want to know more about why I am the nude astrologer, how did this began as something very anecdotal, and I decided to keep it. Then write in the comments below, and if there are enough requests, I'm going to do a video talking about why I'm the nude astrologer. So, without further ado, this series, Moon Across the Zodiac, is basically what it is. A moon across the signs of the zodiac, and the moon right now is in Capricorn. So I'm going to begin with the moon in Capricorn. First of all, the moon. Moon is around 2.5 days in each zodiac sign. It is the fastest moving planet, and it also connects the other planets to the Earth. So it is considered cool, not cold, but cool and moist, and yin in nature. Um, in magical astrology, in astrological magic, it is used to connect the energies of the planets we're looking to put in to what we are creating, if it is a talisman. And then we make sure that the moon is hard, or either hard aspecting or conjuncting, or at least aspecting the planets that we desire to put into, or make sure that the moon is alone if you want to create like a moon talisman. The moon rules Cancer and exalts in Taurus. And since Capricorn is the opposition of Cancer, opposition the sign that it rules, it means that the moon is detriment in Capricorn. But what does that mean to you? Well, first of all, detriment basically means that it's the opposite of where you're comfy at. But it is also the other polarity of the place that you're ruling. So it's a place that you definitely need to be. It's a place that you definitely need to spend time on. It's just not the place that you're used to or that you may feel at home. Capricorn. So Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And the way that it is ruled by Saturn is more like a structure of an organization, a closed body structure. It is an earth sign. It is a cardinal earth, and it is a yin sign. And so therefore also there are traditional astrologers who ascribe um, Saturn yin or feminine qualities. Think about being receptive versus being directional, or being cyclic or even a bit chaotic versus being condensed and having a direction, having a telos as yang. So yang is that masculine, having a telos, having a direction, having density, and being more airy or more cyclical, dark in complexion, is cool. The temperature cool is yin. And so the moon being yin and Capricorn being yin, you would think, okay, where's the problem? Here's the thing. If you look at the Chaldean order of the planets, you would see that Saturn, of the 7 traditional planets, is the furthest from the Earth, from the perspective of looking at it from planet Earth. This is an astrology that is not heliacal astrology. It is an astrology that basically Um, Tropical astrology or sidereal as well is looking at things as they are seen from the earth. This is why we would say the sun takes so long to surround the earth. Of course, the sun does not surround the earth, um, but the relation uh, as we perceive it or experience it from the point of the earth is what makes astrology work for us, because it is the change in the relations between states that matters. Okay, that was deeper than I intended it to be. So back to Capricorn. If Capricorn is ruled by the planet who is the farthest from the earth and is experienced as moving the slowest, so it would take the slowest time of the seven traditional planets to surround the earth. That would take around 28 years. The moon would take around 28 days to go across the zodiac. So if you take a look at the planet that is moving so fast in the domain that is ruled by the sign that is moving so slow, then you can understand the dissonance between the two. Now, what does the moon govern other than the tides and the fluids um, in the body and on the earth? You know, that the ebb and flow of the waters. Um, it is also um, partially the womb and fertility, emotional nature. For those who use the chakra system. So together with the sun is also part of the third eye, and I don't remember if it's the left or the right eye, but one of the eyes too. Um, and so the moon is more like when we think about self-care, the moon sign is going to direct us to what is self-care for us. Okay, let's say the moon is in Taurus, anything sexual, tactile, something that pleases the senses is self-care. So, for example, putting a feather across your skin can balance the nervous system, and that can be self-care for a moon in Taurus. Okay, for a moon in Capricorn, the very act of self-care, just by what I said, okay, the moon moves very quickly and Saturn moves very slowly. Think about the frame within a film. If you've studied filmmaking, you know that when there was film, okay, then you would have between 16 to 24 frames per minute that are just running. And so what we see as film is basically our inability to differentiate the intervals between still pictures. That would be film. Or as one of my lecturers described it, our horrible eyes are responsible for the experience of enjoying moving pictures, motion pictures, basically moving pictures. Okay, so think about the moon as a frame in the movie. Well, hello there, in the movie that is Saturn. Capricorn also rules mountains. So another way to think about the moon or any planet there, but especially the moon there, being so quick as a person who is standing by a mountain, standing on the land or next to a lake by the mountains, looking at the top, understanding that they have 2.5 days to climb it, to get to the top. It doesn't seem possible. You're not going to make it to the top in 2.5 days. What do we need to climb a mountain? This is Saturn. We need dedication, we need planning. The cold and dry climate of mountains, this is also the climate of Saturn, the cold and dry climate of the mountains is very unforgiving. If you're not equipped to live, you won't make it. If you're exhausting yourself, you might freeze to death. So you have to take care of the little details, the minor details, so that you will survive if you're planning to cross this area. The air is thin, okay? But think about the moon. What is the climate of the moon? We said it's self-care, right? So what is self-care? When do we say people you need to self-care? What do we mean? You need to take the time, and it's true, Saturn also rules time. In a different way, Saturn rules time as something that is slow. The moon rules time as something that is faster. Okay? You need to take the time to do something that is bringing you into a state or a situation where you are nourished, comfortable, sort of like in the womb, going back to the womb where you're protected. This is self-care. Go into where you're protected. Now put the planet that rules going where you're protected in the place that is cold and dry, and you have to be practical and planning, and the surrounding is unforgiving, and it's not you against another person, or your mommy or your daddy. If you're not well planned, you're gonna die. Nobody's gonna save you if you don't have the equipment, if you exhaust yourself too much, if your body temperature is too high in contrast of what's going on outside, and the heat evaporates from your body and you go to sleep and you don't have something to isolate you from the cold, you're gonna die. You're not gonna make it to the top. Okay, you gotta do everything in your power to survive in this climate. This is not a natural place for the moon to be. This is not the womb. But when the moon is in Capricorn, this is where you are. And so surprisingly enough, if you go to meditate by the mountains or look at the lake, I posted on Twitter a post of Lake Como in the Alpines. If you look at the lake, and when the lake is very still, and by the mountains, and the mountains reflect in the lake, you have a very still picture. And if you take the time, again Saturn, to observe that very still reflection, just being in that cold and dry climate and being well equipped or well dressed, funny saying that as a moon astrologer, but definitely I'd wear something for the mountains, right? So you can have a very vivid, deep, emotional experience of taking the time to do stillness, to meditate, to be in the mountains, to visualize mountains. And that's and to be with what comes up in you, the temperatures, the thoughts, but to have something beautiful like a mountainscape to observe, or a lake in the mountain, a symbol of the moon and a symbol of Capricorn, or a painting of the moon, of the moon across the mountains. That can be a place that is very meditative, that can get you to experience a deep experience, a mindful experience. Also, being in the mountains can be very valuable to you. That you can feel very profoundly altered, or grown, or somehow supported or self-reliant in those areas. It is so important to do that, because the moon can go unnoticed. The need to self-nurture, to self-care can go unnoticed until you reach a crisis in your life, or even until Saturn square on maturation. Because you could be doing your practical planning, you could be doing your Capricorn house, depending on where Saturn is, and not even, you could be active because you don't want to deal with anxiety. So you could be busy doing something. Um, or you could be um, working on a project, studying something, depending on what house it is for you, and not taking the time to self care. But also, the very act of self care is different for you. It's not, what they say is self care is not what works for you. And when you understand what is Capricorn and what is the moon, to think about all these significations that I said, um, or delve into the significations and try to come up with combinations of these two energies. You can join them together, and this is your praxis, this is your form of self care. You can actually put it in your schedule to, to daily self care. Saturn is something you do daily. It's something you do, or at least every, every week or every. It's something you put in the effort. It's accumulating effort that you do. So whenever the moon is in Capricorn, can be a good time to um, join, the visuals of the mountains, or if you're able to be by the mountains, or to sit still and imagine a lake by the mountains or the moon over the mountains, um, and kind of sit still and allow yourself to allow the thoughts to just drift away and be like stoic. It's a stoic praxis. Be with your feelings. That can be a form of self-care for you. For other people, it can be shadow work. For you, it can be a form of self-care. Now, because Saturn is, the temperature is cold and dry, when we have something cold, um, up until a certain point, in terms of physics, okay, up until a certain point, particles move slower and slower in the cold. But from a certain temperature, they begin to speed up again. And so if you look at computers, for example, they need cold environment. The nervous system, it needs cold environment because it creates excess thought, excess mental activity. And that can create anxiety when we have too many thoughts. Also, Saturn is very practical. And so it knows, it immediately knows that if you're in this climate, yes, you can die. If you're not going to be very careful and plan carefully what you need, you you'll end up dead. And think about going with this notion. Everywhere you go, wherever your Capricorn house is, you go with this notion. You understand what, and Saturn is also the ending things. Okay, you understand what could end your life. You understand in this aspect, in this place. Okay, you understand the difficult climate of things. You understand the practicality of things. You understand the harsh realities of things. It's not something easy to live with. Depending, of course, where your Saturn is. Is it afflicting the moon? Okay, but just having the moon in Capricorn is a moon in a Saturn, is Saturn affected. So your emotional state is exposed to those harsh realities of life um, since birth. You just know. Okay, you just feel. You don't even know how to express this in words, how to verbalize, but you just feel. With the moon, it's always good to do like womb healing or returning to the womb or whatnot. But something that can get you to meet the needs of the infant in the womb or the infant going out of the womb, the needs that are pre-verbal. Okay, Venus is more verbal than, or Mercury is more verbal. The moon is pre-verbal stage of the infant. Um, so having it in Capricorn, while it can be not a terrible sign to have it, if you want deep, profound experiences of mindfulness, of stillness, spirituality, because Saturn does govern the sort of spirituality that you get by putting in the work. And to self nourish is to climb the mountain. If I think, I don't know, I can see his image. Oh my gosh. Oh, the guy that tells, the German guy that tells to people, accept what is, be in the present, even if you feel sad, even if you feel terrible, just let go and be in the present. This is very much it's not solely Moon Capricorn, but this is very much um, the kind of self care that you can experience with this placement. Um, when you understand that, then you can focus on what's actually nourishing you and just radically accept that self nourishment is a detailed and sometimes meticulous praxis for you. It's not easy for you to feel safe in the world because you're aware of the harsh realities. Perhaps developing a more stoic approach to life can contribute to your well being. Um, to touch the experience is to basically join the energies of Capricorn, the beauty of the mountains, the joy of the cool and dry weather, the stillness of a lake in a mountain area in a highland, the moon shining across the mountain tops. Those images can create an experience that is non-verbal for you, and to meditate on those images. Um, for some people to paint, it depends on where's Mercury and what the fifth house is doing. Um, that can bring you solace and ease. So this is for the moon in Capricorn. And while it's a sensitive place to be at, it's also very thoughtful, very observant, very discerning, very aware, very stoic, very spiritual, practically spiritual place for the moon to be. Not the end of the world if you have it, you just need to know that you do need to take the time daily to do self-nourishment. And even if tapping into it, into self-nourishment might not be as easy as with moon in Cancer or with moon in Taurus, it is a very fulfilling experience because you have both the deep fulfillment and achievement, and it's an experience of joy that is by putting the effort into something and by going into stillness, you tap into wonder. Um, that is rare and magnificent. So I'm Tali Shear on Twitter, Shelly Youngblood on Instagram, and this was my first video in the Moon Across the Zodiac series. I'll be meeting you on the next episode with the Moon in Aquarius. Bye bye. Subscribe to my channel, click the bell if you want notifications for when I upload a new video. And you can tell me at the comments below if you have the moon in Capricorn. Maybe you have other planets in Capricorn. What would you like me to be? What would you like to be the next planet series? So let me know in the comments below. What do you have in Capricorn? Where is your moon? What is your experiences? Or what house it is for you? And how do you experience that moon? What helps you to get to self-nourishment and self-care? You can even put like notifications in your own cell phone to practice these things now that I'm thinking about it. Let's see you in my next video. Bye bye.